So, Petra, when women come to you at the pharmacy and they're presenting with some perimenopause symptomology, what are the most common things you hear from women?
Most common things I hear from women, there's actually one thing that super stands out. I do not feel like myself. They can't sleep. They just don't feel like they're living in a body anymore that is theirs.
What are some of the things that are actually going on for women that but they might not be aware of or not quite understand what's actually happening?
So if you're a woman in your late 30s, early 40s, you are most likely in perimenopause. And perimenopause comes with a huge metabolic shift. So there's a lot of things that are going out the window for you. Sleep, mood, your libido, how you relate to things, how your body responds to diet and exercise, so many different things. Aches and pains, all of a sudden new onset allergies. There's over 100 different symptoms now that are related to perimenopause. They all can completely throw you off your game and things are just not like they used to be.
What's actually going on in the hormones behind it that's creating that women might not
Yeah.
understand? They might just feel like, "Oh, I've got a bit of brain fog," or
Yeah.
I don't seem to remember things like I used to. Not
So women go through three major shifts in their lifetime hormonally. They're called the three Ps. First one, puberty. Everybody remembers puberty, right? Hormones go crazy. You're just like crazy, not like yourself, right? Discovering all sorts of things. The second P is pregnancy. Not every woman experiences that, but every pregnant woman that is listening to this or watching this right now knows what kind of a hormonal roller coaster pregnancy can be. And then the third P is perimenopause. This is when our uterus kind of sort of gets ready to shut down because we're closing down for business soon. And so in perimenopause, the 10 years before you go into menopause, your hormones are starting to slightly shift. So it starts with a drop in progesterone because we're not ovulating every month anymore. Estrogen still happily is bumping along. Our ovaries are still producing enough estrogen. But then the later you go into perimenopause in that 10-year window, the more your estrogen level starts to spike and drop as well. So it's like a total roller coaster. One day they're high, next day they're low. And so the steady decline of progesterone and the erratic up and down of estrogen is behind you not feeling like yourself anymore and your body not responding to any kind of outside stimulus as it used to before.
Yeah, because I often hear in my psychology practice, right, I often hear women who are in relationships and their kids are getting to that empty nester stage where they're sort of, they've done all the growing up and those kinds of things. And then women sort of saying, I feel like I have to recreate a whole new.
Yeah.
How's that linked to the hormones?
So I mentioned the three Ps: puberty, pregnancy, and perimenopause. So every single time we're going through such a huge hormonal shift, it's actually affecting our brain as well. So during pregnancy, for example, our brain is pruning back connections like you would prune back a tree because all you're doing is you're focusing on that baby that you're growing and it's all about nurturing that baby, raising that baby, right? When we're going through perimenopause, we're going through a similar pruning cycle again in our brain with estrogen dropping. Our nurturing instincts are kind of sort of lessening as well. So it's for a lot of women, it's a phase where they just don't give a shit anymore. Can I swear? So a
Always.
lot of women are like, I don't give a fuck about this anymore. I I'm just gonna do me now. And it's actually really cool because I feel like what you're going through, the shifts in your bodies, some women are hit harder than others, but I think for every woman, it is kind of an awakening. It is a, hey, now my time is coming. So I don't see it as a menopause. I see it as a Meno-Start because that next era that you're going into, it's all about you, what you want, how you want to live. And if you're smart about it and you do a few right things, you can really, really thrive and come into your own in that.
Giving a shit anymore
Mhm.
phase.